Okay, amazing. Today I will be interviewing Tamala Lewis, Senior Director at AEG's Dignity Health Sports Park Community Affairs and Foundation. Thank you, Tamala, for joining me today. The first question that I have for you is, would you briefly describe your job role and what you enjoy the most about it?
Yeah, sure. First, I'll just correct you. Mine is Tamala. A lot of people say
Tamala,
Tamala.
I'm so sorry.
That's
Tamala.
okay. And so I am the Senior Director for Community Affairs and the Foundation, like you stated, for Dignity Health Sports Park, AEG. My responsibilities is, of course, a couple of things, several things actually. I do a lot of the community initiatives, whether it's events or programming for the community, and also I run the foundation. So I deal with a lot of our youth programs, our residents. I deal with elected officials, and also I handle the foundation, so our charity component for not only the events that I create, but also the events that come through there. If there's any charity component, we work together in making that happen. So I've been with AEG in June. It will be 18 years. So I started when I was 12. Just kidding. But yeah. But yeah, it's for anybody who's been with the company for this long, you have to say that it's a great company. And just happy to be here with you today.
Amazing. I'm actually really curious to know like what positions you've held within your time at AEG, if you don't mind going through that. I think
Yeah,
18 years is a
actually,
long time.
Yeah, actually, I started off as a manager in just the foundation portion of it, working in just the management as a manager under the foundation. As I grew into the director for the foundation, and then I took over the community affairs for the stadium. So then I ended up having multiple jobs, and which led me to the senior director position of two departments.
Wow, talk about loyalty and dedication.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and we work, as working for Dignity Health Sports Park and working for AEG, I do work on different projects, and both are AEG. So I do work on things that may be at Staples Center, and I do work also with community affairs with our Staples Center and all of our venues and festivals and things of that sort. So in our departments, like you mentioned, AEG Presents, and we have everything from Coachella to Stagecoach to the New Orleans Jazz Festival. We unfortunately have been shut down since March 13th of 2020, and we are returning very, very soon. I can't believe we're coming up on a year, but we're all working from home. But we have been going in for special community initiatives and things of that sort. But it's been a tough year for everybody. I truly know that we're not the only ones, but we've also made a point to make sure we dedicate giving back to the community as much as we can, and get people through this.
Yes, for sure. I feel like all of us have been really cooped up, and especially like those companies similar to AEG that like really rely on consumers and fans to be present in order
Yes,
to have their business excel have been hurt the most. But it's all about like readjusting and like bringing in a different perspective for sure to keep those people
absolutely.
still engaged and wanting to come back once things hopefully open up.
Yes, yes, they will. They'll open up. They'll open up.
Yes,
It will be a new normal. It will never be the same, but it will be, they will open up. We will be back to it for sure.
yes. I'm excited about that. Amazing. I guess my second question for you is, what has been one of the greatest highlights of your career thus far, with your 18 years at AEG or anything before that?
You know, I will honestly say, working for AEG, we're doing what I do. Um, I'm in a lucky position because, you know, my whole job and my whole focus is to put smiles on people's faces and put hope in their heart and bring them to a joy or to an event that they may never be able to go to or haven't been to. So just the fact of being able to just bring hope to people, through, for perfect example, prior to COVID, it was just giving people what we could to bring, the support to the community, and also to bring them into the venue to see certain events. But over 2020, we had to change a whole nother shift, and our focus was, we did multiple food drives of giving over 10,000 meals away to the community. We did blood drives, so we gave school supplies and book backpacks away, because even those kids weren't going back to school, they needed those supplies in their homes. We also did in December, we did a big toy giveaway that we gave away toys that we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club and Mattel to the community. So people drove up, parents were able to pick what they want and drive off with a trunk full of toys. So, and then just last week, we basically did 20,000 COVID vaccines at our facility. And then we're doing the second round coming up in just a couple of weeks. For everyone's second shot, focusing on 65 and plus community members, making sure that they were taken care of. So we did stop with the fans coming into the stands, but we didn't stop making things move in the parking lots and making sure that our dedicated fans and community that's been supporting us, that we supported them. So that was, so that's been the highlight. It's been truly been able to just give back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the least that we can do nowadays. It's just find ways to still stay relevant and really just find a way to connect to people the best way that we can. Even for myself, I just remember going through my closet and trying to clean stuff up. And I was like, yeah, I could sell this and make money off of it, but this is not the right time and place to do that. I think it's better if I find someone to donate it to instead. Also similar to one of my internships where I interned at a junk-free bakery called Food, and a bunch of products was being near expiration date, and they put me in charge of all right, let's donate this and distribute it, distribute across LA. And I was like, I got you guys. And I don't know how much, a couple thousand units we got rid of, but it was a nice way to give back and a really good feeling. And being able to coordinate and be in contact with so many different orgs was really touching to me. So
yeah,
definitely relate to you.
Yeah, and just giving, reaching out and making sure that we're communicating with our AEG staff family as well, because through all of this, there's been furloughs and layoffs, and we've lost some family members through all of this. And just making sure, our company has been very dedicated in making sure that there were listening calls, especially through the civil unrest after George Floyd murder. Just making sure that we were all okay, and that everyone, is able to just let your emotions go and be able to speak your mind. And then also to just dedicate our DEI programs, our diversity, equity, inclusion programs, and making sure that everyone is okay. And if there's something that we can do better, what can we do better in the near future? So a lot of those things, not only did we give back, trying to give back to our community and make sure they're okay, it's also making sure that our staff and our AEG family is okay as well. So there's been a lot of programs and dedication in that as well. And it's all of it is actually kind of like therapy for me and my family, because they're able to participate and give back in a lot of ways. And so it's also therapy for us when we're able to give back, and it keeps us going as well. So, those are truly been some great highlights, and, throughout all of this. Yeah.
It seems like work for you has been really rewarding and stuff like that, rather than stressful. And I think that's an amazing environment that you get to be in, for sure. Not a lot of people have that. So kudos to you for being able to switch it and frame it like that to make it easier on you. You spoke about how dedication and just passion are really big things and characteristic traits that you think someone should have within your position. Do you mind expanding on other traits or skills that have been useful within your career in sports and that whole environment?
Yeah, there's a few of them, and then there's also going to be some changes because, as we know, when we go back there, I was just talking to a group of young ladies last night, and we were talking about one of them had said, I've been working in this industry for 2 years, and I've been in it for almost 18 years, and I said, guess what? When we go back, we are all starting a fresh start because there will be some things that none of us have seen before. We will all be learning together. And those are some things that we really have to understand and take in because it's going to be a new normal. And we're going to have to learn some things, and there will be some opportunities that come available that didn't exist before. And there's also going to be some added on things that did exist before, but never, things will not go back to the way that they were when this time last year. That is definitely the case. And I think a few traits that are going to fall into that also fell in prior to that is, flexibility, great judgment and decision making, emotional intelligence, empathy, because that cannot be replaced by technology. And communication skills, just knowing that be open to changes because changes are going to come as we all go back and things are going to come up. We still don't know exactly what is going to be needed when we do go back. We're still learning that. So, and also remembering that your skills are transferable across this industry, just like several others, but just the same with our industry. So some of the skills that were maybe not needed prior in the sports and entertainment may be definitely needed now. So just understanding that skills are transferable also in the sports and entertainment industry. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the key skill, I think, across the board for any industry has really just been adaptability. And I think you said emotional intelligence is really big too. I think that before, a lot of young professionals, they really thought that okay, I only benefit from a higher up, but a higher up can also benefit from young professionals as well, because again, like you said, we're going into a new phase. Things are changing. I've spoken to older professionals and they're like, we need to take social media on a more heavy level, and we don't know how to do that, for example, and we need the younger people to come in and do that. So it really is a fresh start for everyone, and I'm glad that you brought that up because it's not something that I've thought about much, because I feel like older people with more experience have already figured this whole thing out, and they're like, no, I'm just as lost as you are. I don't know what I'm doing.
And we all keep learning. We're all learning every day. There's still stuff that I'm learning every single day, no matter how long I've been in this business. And after 2020, we all are going to learn a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't learn. So I totally, I will say definitely that it is something that that we all are going to need to adapt to, and you're going to have to be, open to changes, and changes may come quickly. And you just have to be prepared, but you have to be really open-minded and willing to, just jump on board. Yeah.
For sure. Definitely a trait I think that a lot of us young professionals are trying to lean into more and more. Of just being more open-minded. I think we're all stuck on a track. We need to do this and this and this to get to this big goal, but it's never a linear line. It's always a zigzag.
Exactly.
And it's hard to come across that and kind of understand, what, life happens, stuff happens, there's a detour at all times. There's always another way to get to it, and no two people's path is the same exact. So
right, and you learn from struggles. That's how we learn. Yeah. Down those journeys and down those paths, there's going to be bumps in the road. You just got to get up, shake it off, and keep on moving, because you're not going to learn unless you go through those struggles. That is the part of the learning process, and that never stops. I don't care how long you've been in any industry, you are going to be learning along the way, period. And so no one is above anyone when it comes to learning, just because they've been there for a certain amount of time, because we learn from each other.
Right. On that topic, do you think that imposter syndrome is still present within your role? And due to like the amount of experience that you have, do you still experience imposter syndrome at all?
You know, I will say that I would say no. I'm going to say no because I mean there's going to be some that's going to be there, period. But I think this year has been an eye opener for a whole lot of people. And I think, with everything, in life, there is going to be that group of folks that you're going to have to break down, and there's all going to be some folks that's going to move ahead. So I will say it's better, but I will say you're going to run into it, but you're just going to have to be prepared for it. Yeah.
It's like another wall that we would have to get through.
Yes.
I guess comes with time as well, to just understand that like it is present, it's in the room, just accept it and run with it. Don't think too much about it. Don't give it a lot of attention.
Absolutely. And that's going to be you're going to see a whole lot in those rooms that a whole lot of walls are going to be in this room, especially as a woman. You're going to have a whole lot of those walls. And that's speaking from a woman and a woman of color, that there's going to be some walls that we run into, and you just got to look past them, and you just got to keep doing what you're doing and stay on point, and make sure that you're doing your very best and just keep on moving.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Just keep swimming like the Nemo.
Yep, just keep swimming,
Yeah. It seems like you have a really good head on your shoulders. Also a ton of experience as well. I'm curious to know if you were to do anything differently along your career journey, what would you have done differently? Or if you just have any like advice for young professionals trying to break into the field.
Yeah. Well,
just like lessons that you've learned.
Yeah. So anything that I would do differently, one, I would probably say nothing. Simply because I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that there's a path for everybody. And just like we talked about before, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be paths that we take that may not be the greatest path. And we feel like we got to turn around and start down that other fork in the road. But it is one of those things where I feel like that, I would not do anything differently. I think through this journey of mine, I've been blessed enough to be able to say, I've learned a lot, I've achieved a lot. And hopefully, because I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life. So my point is to make sure that I'm educating and trying to do my part in making sure that the young folks coming behind me have those doors open and have those seats at the table where they necessarily would not have prior to me coming on board. So my whole focus is to make sure that I crack that door for the next person so they can just walk on in as much as possible. So I would say no, I don't have any, I wouldn't say that I have anything that I would do differently in my life, because I actually, have had a very interesting, I came from into sports and entertainment. I was a recording artist on Columbia Rex, Columbia Sony Music. So I came from a whole different, so I came from in front of the camera to behind the camera. But, but through that, I was educated and I had my degree and I was able to move forward and still, make things happen and still be able to move forward. And as, my dad always said, you have your degree, so you got a plan B. So, it's always one of those things where I think, everything that I went through for a reason to make me who I am. Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Do you think that there was one thing that you did that maybe is not like as traditional? You kind of spoke about like your music career and stuff like that. I feel like everyone has that one like event that's like non-traditional that kind of just like helps them excel within their I guess, career, did you have that one thing that like really stood out to you that you think helped you a lot?
I wouldn't say it was one thing. I would say it's the several. Everything from when I was younger. My father was in the music industry, so he was a concert promoter and he managed a lot of artists. So I always had music and entertainment around me. My first job was working at what they used to call the Cool Jazz Festival, which is very much like the Essence Festival now. It's a 3-day music festival, and I was 16 and I would work behind stage, and my job was meeting the artists at their car and taking them to their dressing room and letting them know they were there for sound check. It was like, so all of these artists like the Whitney Houstons and I'm 16-year-old and this is my first job, and this was like every summer this job took place. And through that I gained a lot of godmothers and godfathers that actually helped me when I came to Los Angeles, and actually was kind of like my guardian angels, what you can say. And so I think through all of those and having all of those mentors in my life and having people there to guide me and my parents there to guide me, just a support, just having a support, whether it's not your parents, whether it's friends or a mentor, or just some kind of person to support you is very important. And so through all of that, even through the recording and traveling the world and doing things at a very young age, through all of that, I will honestly say, that it was several things that kind of molded me. It wasn't just one particular thing. It was several things that kind of molded me into my situation. It's funny because I say there's no coincidence, because I say this when I was one of my dad's concerts that he was promoting was called the Budweiser Fest, and it was the Budweiser truck, and it unfolded out like a transformer into this huge stage, and it traveled all around the country, and all these artists would come and perform. It was like festival type of thing. And it's funny, when I was younger, my dad told me I could fly to California to one of the shows. So I flew out here, on the plane, by myself, because he had already got here, and we did a show. I went to a show, and at this place, it was this big, it was just ground, like they would do these like on just nothing but a whole lot of land. They would build this truck and do this like a festival style. And it's funny because that location that I came to when I was younger is exactly where I work right now at Dignity Health Sports Park. When that stadium was not there. Is that crazy or is that crazy?
That's insane. That's like a major full circle moment.
Full circle moment. And when I got here and I was driving into my first, the work, and I'm like, why does this looks so familiar, then I realized I came here when I was younger and was on these grounds before any of this was here for a festival with my father. And here I am returning back, and I'm working in this venue for this company for almost 18 years at the same place I came when I was younger. And I'm coming from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's baffling. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. So I will say every journey, there's not a one thing that molded me or guided me. It was several things and several people that definitely helped in my journey. Sure. Yeah.
Seems like you had a really good support system that really helped you be exposed to different aspects of sports and entertainment. And I think that like parents play a huge factor in this. Like the way many of us started off as athletes, being forced on a team sport at a young age, regardless of the crying and screaming that occurred before a game or practicing. I don't want to go.
I'm a 14-year-old that's running track right now. Yes, I understand.
And being a sports mom is even harder. So major kudos to you being a working mom and a sports mom and everything else that you do on top of that, that I don't even know about. I have two quick questions, last questions. Who is an athlete that you admire and why do you admire them?
I cannot say anybody else but my husband. So my husband, I will have to say, would be my favorite athlete. He is a four-time Olympic medalist, 3 golds and 1 silver in track and field. And I admire him because he does, he's an unbelievable father. He's an unbelievable husband. And he gives back to the community and gives back, everything. And he's that whole transition of coming from an athlete into the working world was great because of his support system and his coaches and everybody that mentored him and made sure that he was investing wise as an athlete, because those things, that transition, because you cannot be an athlete forever, and that transition can be very hard for some people. But if you have a great support system teaching you what you need to do and making sure that you understand that you will not be doing this forever, helps you make that transition a lot easier. So that support system is very important as well. So I absolutely have to say Steve Lewis.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, I think it's super interesting for Olympic athletes. I remember my dad was telling me that there was one Olympic swimmer who, like, his support system was like, hey man, like, let's not do another Olympics. Like, you're getting older. Like, what is going to happen to you post this? And he was like, no, I'm going to do the Olympics. I'm going to train for it again. And I think he ended up storming the Capitol and got arrested or something in the end.
He was that person. I know that person. I do know who you're talking about.
Yes. I don't remember his name, but I found that to be very fascinating. So yeah, I've always been curious for athletes where, like, at what point do you realize that, like, okay, like, enough is enough. Like, I've had my spare time and fun time and whatever. It's time to move on and see what else I can do to keep a living going. So
Absolutely.
major kudos to your husband. That's a very big move.
Yeah.
Last question is, how would you advise college students to maximize the Sports Industry Showcase Conference coming up March 5th and 6th?
I will say, listen. I will use the word listen, take in every moment. This is an opportunity that everyone does not get. And so you take this opportunity and you listen and take in everything around you, take notes. And, I always use a quote, my kids are crazy. They tired of me saying it, but I always use a quote from my grandmother that says, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen. So I would say that was what I would leave you with. Take in every moment, listen, take in whatever you can from different speakers, and then reach out to them, and let them know, I'm here, I need a mentor or things of that sort. But those are the things that I would say is that take in every moment and listen to what everyone has to say, and don't take that conference for granted, because everyone does not have that opportunity.
That was beautiful. Yeah, I definitely agree. I love the 2 ears and 1 mouth analogy for sure. I need to listen to that more often, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think that Ron puts on great events always, and being able to, like, recruit students myself to come to these and speak with professionals like yourself has really been an honor. And it was me just getting out of my comfort zone. A career counselor told me, hey, I got this random email about the sports conference. I know you're into sports. Check it out. And I was like, all right, like, I have nothing else to do. Why not? And I've built so many relationships with students and professionals again that I don't think I would have been able to do if it weren't for that connection with a career counselor and me just getting out of my comfort zone and committing to something.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you did an amazing job on this interview. So bravo, bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know we have all kind of technical problems and everything technical problems is happening through this whole COVID world of virtual, but it happens and we keep it moving, and you did an amazing job.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot. I really appreciate you taking the time on a Friday afternoon. It was so nice meeting you and connecting with you and hearing your story.
No, it's very nice connecting with you. Stay in touch, and the best of luck to you and everyone who watches this. Best of luck to you, and stay strong. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this.
Yes. 1 month at a time. 1 month at a
Month
time.
at a time, but we are going to get through it.
Yes,
Yes.
we will. Amazing. I hope you have a great weekend with your family, and I'm looking forward to seeing any updates from AEG in your department.
Absolutely. And you too. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All righty. Go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
All
right.
Take care.
Bye. You too.